All right, everybody. Welcome back to the 5678 podcast. It's your boy, Brandon, of course. I'm also here with my new co-host, right?
I'm back.
She's back indeed. So, first of all, I just want to thank everybody for watching the first, episode that we did a couple weeks ago. We got really good feedback. I had a great time doing it. How'd you feel about it?
It was good. I feel like it's the start of new things, and I'm hoping we could be that platform that could be the voice for the dance community. So
Absolutely.
let's ring it up.
Okay, a few things. First of all, I made a grave error on the last episode. I thanked a bunch of people, basically all of the people that I had as guests on the first season, except for one person. And that person was Alejandro Rey, which I don't know how I could forget him and leave him out because he had one of my favorite episodes of last season. So I just want to give him a special shout out. Thank you so much for participating last season. Like I said, one of my favorite episodes. And whenever anybody's like, I've never heard your podcast, can you recommend an episode that, I can listen to first? I always say that one. So thanks again for doing it. And sorry for leaving you out last week. My bad. All right. So that said, let's see some housekeeping here. Oh, follow the Instagram. We have the new
Follow
Instagram.
The gram. Yep.
5678 podcast. Jump on there. We're on there. We're active and responsive. So if you guys have any questions or any comments or anything that you guys want us to talk about, or even ideas of people that we might be able to talk to in the future,
please reach out.
Please reach out. Absolutely. That said, today is an interesting one. Today is a very interesting one. So for that reason, we're going to do something a little bit different. I brought us shots. So like I said, hopefully you enjoy tequila because we're about to go for it now. All right. Cheers.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Oh, yeah. We haven't seen each other. So Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. The whole shebang.
All the things.
Absolutely. This is a little strong. I've got my little water here. It's a little chaser because I'm a weenie. Here we go.
Fantastic. You have a heavy hand. It's great. I didn't flinch. It was delicious.
Yeah, it was good, but whew, that was
it's hot in here.
As intense as this interview will be. All right. Mm-hmm. Now that we got that out of the way, hopefully it kicks in soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, yeah, we're good.
All right. I'm gonna introduce our guest for today. Our guest is a DJ, a very well-known DJ, somebody who has basically been, DJing since I started dancing and is responsible for a lot of people jumping on the dance floor and being like, oh, yes, it's time to go now.
Yep.
All right. That guest is DJ Soltrix. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for being on with us. We appreciate you, giving us your time and everything like that, and just sitting in and having this discussion with us.
Yeah, not a problem.
Before I start asking questions, I just want to explain why I'm doing this interview. Obviously, you're a pretty polarizing figure, especially the last several years. And I'll be honest with you, I was one of these people that, was, I don't want to say a part of the cancel culture, but I kind of fed into it a little bit. Everybody got really upset over some comments and different things that have been said over time. And that sort of led for, I guess, sort of this cancel culture thing to happen where you just haven't really been with us in LA in quite some time,
Right.
and I fed into that. And I guess the reason that I've decided that I wanted to do this interview was because I had my own sort of situation happen this year. I made some mistakes. I did some things that I probably shouldn't have done, to a much smaller scale, albeit, but it was a scale that still, really made me reflect on people that I thought were close to me, friends and stuff like that kind of turned their backs on me, people that sort of dismissed me and almost in a way started not necessarily looking at me as a human being anymore. And I felt like crap over it. I felt like shit over it. And around the time that I was kind of going through this and sort of actually getting closer to God and, starting to I guess, reflect on forgiveness and all this kind of different stuff. You were actually supposed to be in LA for an event, and that event actually got canceled. It got canceled. You were actually supposed to do another podcast, and you were supposed to DJ an event, and it didn't happen. And that didn't happen because there was some outside pressure that came in, and got the venue and the owner of the venue to sort of take a step back, not want to deal with the heat, and that event got canceled. And looking at my own situation, I was just like, that kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Some of the things that were said and that have been said have been, rough and in some cases maybe even distasteful. But everybody deserves an opportunity and a second chance, right? Like, we're ever evolving human beings, and I think that it's important for us to be able to have open discussions, open dialogues, and be able to communicate with each other, even when our differences in opinions
Are different.
are occurring.
And
So
also emphasize in a calm manner, because some people think
yeah,
just
absolutely.
having attitude and being rude and bickering, that doesn't help it at all.
Right.
I'm all about having a nice, calm, cool discussion.
Exactly. And so, who's calmer and cooler than you and I?
Right. We're the coolest.
So here we are. That's why I've decided to do it. I'm certain I'm going to get a lot of comments and a lot of feedback, and I'm letting you guys know I'm completely open to hearing you out. Whether you agree with the fact that I've done this interview or not, hopefully you just listen to it and understand, where we're coming from, where he's coming from, and hopefully we can all learn something together. All right. And move forward in a positive manner. Okay.
That's why we're here.
Absolutely. So that all said, before we get to all the fireworks, I have to start the interview the same way that I start every interview, which is, how did you find yourself in the bachata community?
Actually, I didn't even know the bachata community existed. So my DJ career kind of goes a bit further back than that. I would say 5 years before I even knew about the dance community. Which before I was doing more local nightclubs here in Tampa and private events like any other DJ. You know what I mean? We all start somewhere. So for me, it was that. My introduction to the community was after I started my business page, LatinRemixes.com. Once I started that page, because I was already doing remixes and Latin edits already, like on the fly, some of them for my own personal DJ sets. And once the business became successful, that's when it grabbed the attention of a lot of other DJs, and we all networked, and we more producers started to come out of that, and that's kind of how I met a prominent figure in the dance scene who runs Island Touch, is DJ Tigre. He was locally here in Tampa, so he was starting to get into DJ. He's already like into the dance world and all that. He worked with Atacan Alamana. They were here in Tampa as well. I worked at a club called High Park Cafe, and that's where I first met them. And out of nowhere, I don't know why, like this just happened randomly. We were cool. We would see each other. DJ Tigre would do an opening set, and then I would come on during peak hour and do my thing, rocking the crowd. But it came to when I listened to a salsa version to Coldplay Clocks. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's like a
Yeah.
cha-cha-cha, like a down tempo version of Clocks, and I was like, man, that's awesome. And then around the time, Stand By Me, Prince Royce was kind of like, hitting as well. So it was like English bachata, like, so I was like, oh, okay, no one's ever tried to do like a English pop band like as infamous as Coldplay. So I was like, man, let me try to do what they did with the cha-cha version, give it my own little twist. And, I got the tools to make it into a bachata. And, I made it, and I put it up on my website on LatinRemixes.com, and that's where I got the attention of DJ Tigre, and he's like, bro, this is so dope and all this stuff. And that's how it kind of just started from there, because he was sending me videos of his, while he was touring, DJing in other countries, of like a bunch of people dancing to it. And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. That's awesome. I've never, for me, like, I'm used to playing my like stuff that I've made in small little venues, nightclubs, like local bars here in Tampa. But to see it at a big festival where there's like, hundreds of dancers and they're dancing to something I created, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So then that's when I started to kind of dive more in and get connected into the dance world and the dance market because no one was doing it yet. So
That's kind of
at the
ironic,
time,
actually, because
yeah.
Tigre is like Mr. Traditional Bachata.
Hmm.
So the fact that he's the one that kind of, said, "Oh, I like this modern bachata twist,"
Yeah, the thing I like about Tigre though is he's very open-minded. You know what I mean? Like he's adapted to new styles and he's very he's hip, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? Like he goes with the flow of the music culture and what's hot, what's coming up. You know what I mean? Like he's open-minded in that aspect. But yeah, he's Dominican at heart, traditional. That's his blood right there. So
Do you have a dance background, or is it solely music?
man, my dance background is just me sitting at family parties and watching people dance. My family. That's it.
Now, what if you
That's
put
the
tequila
earliest.
into the situation?
Oh, I mean, that's a different story. I mean, yeah, I like I know what I'm doing, but hey.
Same.
But no, like dancing. I picked up on a lot as far as bachata goes. Like I didn't know a thing. I was like, man, this is easy to learn. Bachata is like, okay, one, two, back, forth. That's it. Okay, that's awesome. Like it was easy for me to learn than salsa. Salsa was a bit more complicated for me. But as I got more exposed to the dance scene and traveling, and taking a couple lessons here and there for fun, I picked up on some things, and I enjoy it. I'm not as good as you guys, but I can. I guess I could say I could defend myself.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I actually forgot to mention something. I wanted to actually start this interview in a different way, but that's okay. I will just go with it right now. I got to talk about
Yeah.
the last time I actually saw Soltrix.
It's been a while for
It
me.
has been a while, but the last time I saw Soltrix is exactly about 4 years ago, about a little bit, 4 years and some change. And that night was on New Year's Eve of 2020.
Oh, no way. Actually, that might have been my last time too.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know me personally and don't really know my, history, I've touched everything here in LA in terms of like the bachata community. I've been on teams, I have DJ'd, I have hosted events and promoted events. I have competed, like I mean, just literally everything,
Performed,
right?
fan,
Yeah, exactly.
standby.
But getting my promotional career started happened during 2020 during COVID. Everything shut down in the March. Everything was dead, and people were looking for different things to do. And so, eventually we all got sick of sitting at home and everything like that. And people were like having house parties and stuff and doing all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to try to do something. So, I started hosting my own little, silent headphone parties in my apartment. That's how it started, actually.
Cute.
Actually, a hotel. I rented
Hotel. Yeah, it was.
I rented a hotel room.
With the
Took all
margaritas.
Yep. Took all the furniture out, and we had a silent headphone party in the hotel. We outgrew that. We went to my apartment, did it there. We outgrew that. We went to a helipad in downtown LA,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of dangerous looking back on that.
And we had to outgrew that very
Outgrew
quickly.
that. And then the last sort of thing that I did for that year was planned not only myself, but I got to shout out Nancy, Memo, Esther. We were throwing these parties in a warehouse in downtown LA. And so we had a situation where we were going to do a New Year's Eve party. And,
Lit.
it was cool. Like we had this whole idea. And then there was another promoter who I'm actually not going to mention his name today because I'm not a big fan. He was going to have an event himself. And for whatever reason, COVID reasons, I guess, his event couldn't happen. So he had talent already booked for his event. He knew that I was doing our thing over at the warehouse and said, hey, what do you think if we combine our events and just do one big thing because I've lost my venue and I had the connect for the venue at the time, right? So I said, all right, cool, let's do it. Soltrix was the act for that night, right? That night was probably the craziest night that I've had as a promoter, still to this day. So we get there, as you know, this is the height of COVID, by the way, okay? So this is like you're on lockdown. They're like, you know, police are knocking on people's doors for having parties and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, right? We get to the warehouse. We've spent so much time and effort. You know, we've got a balloon drop with 200 balloons at the top of this warehouse. We've got photo booths and we've got a bar. We've got all this different stuff going on, right? And we've got DJ Soltrix. We're about to have a hell of a time, a blast, right? Well, you know, there's still some interesting stories about how it happened, but I'm not gonna go to that part of it. I'm just gonna say that our party was raided. Okay, we were inside of the warehouse. We hear, you know, sirens and everything else like that. And I go outside. It's me, by the way. I walk outside this warehouse and I open up crack the door open. And there are 50 to 80, you know, police cars and SWAT outside. Like, yo, what's going on in there? And I'm like, nothing.
You know.
And
working like a dog.
Yeah, just in here chilling. Got a full New Year's Eve suit on and everything like that.
Strobe lights, glitter.
Right. And it's funny because everybody obliged. Like I told everybody, just shut up. Everybody be quiet. Everybody be quiet. So everybody's quiet. I've got 300 people in the warehouse, and I've got crouched down. Right, crouched down, and I've got 50 officers outside. So he's like, "Look, I'm going to give you two options." Officer says, you can either continue with your party and I will confiscate all of your vendors' stuff. So your DJ, I'm taking all his gear. I had food, tacos, people, taco truck, like all this stuff. He's like, I'll confiscate everything. Or you can go back in there, tell everybody that the party is over before midnight.
Yeah,
and
this
I'll
is
let everybody
minutes
go.
before
Yeah, this
midnight.
is minutes before midnight. He's like, and I'll let everybody go. And so I walk back to 300 people and I'm like, yo, hey, if you guys want to stay till midnight, we can do that, but you guys might go to jail. Or we can all leave right now and everybody's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, everybody, decided to leave.
The walk of shame.
Walk of shame, and literal walk of shame, because there were news crews outside. That was the first time I've ever been on Spanish news before. Okay.
Telemundo.
Telemundo. Right. Telemundo. All right. That's the first time. And, I haven't been on since. But you see me on Telemundo and Univision. Yeah. Right.
And I think ABC, because I saw
right.
it on
ABC. It was literally like seven. It was like 7 news channels. Right. Me like directing people out of the warehouse. And and of course we didn't end up having Soltrix that night. What ended up happening was myself and a couple of others, we ended up pulling the balloon drop, and it dropped over about 5 of us that night. Meanwhile, Soltrix went on to another party, and he ended up dealing with that night and having a good time, I think, elsewhere, while I was upset in the warehouse. So
yeah, I actually remember that night. It was right when I was picked up from the hotel. I remember, I think I was sitting in the car with Zonic, and he received a phone call like, "Oh, hey, something's happening over here."
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I waited outside in the car while he walked in, and that's when he told me about the whole situation, and he told me we're gonna move it to another dance studio, like a small dance studio.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, well.
So that was my first introduction as a promoter, and that was pretty much what launched my career, because after that everybody was like, "Oh, you're the guy that had that raided party, right, at the warehouse."
And so they put such a bad name to us too.
I know, yeah, but
they were like, "Yeah, there were so many drugs and guns," and they show us getting escorted out. I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, they like mixed it with, like, how the news does.
Yeah, they twisted things.
Yeah,
there's me in a fur coat, looking like a prostitute, walking out.
Yeah. So that was the last time I saw Soltrix, and I just wanted to make sure I said that story because I think it's pretty funny, and I love it. So.
That was interesting.
Yeah, but here we are. We've moved on to bigger and better things. We're doing the podcast now, and we're here talking 4 years later, and I'm glad that we are. Okay, so getting back to what we were sort of talking about, um, I just want to ask you a little bit about maybe like your inspiration. I know that you sort of talked about that initial inspiration by hearing that Prince Royce track, but what allowed you to say like, all right, you know what, this is a genre and sort of something that I can like take and run with, and I think other people are going to enjoy this as well, because it's one thing to just do something once, but it's another thing to like make a conscious effort to like say, all right, we're going to like just redo this whole thing right now.
And if you could add, like, I think a time frame too, because I know there's other people that are probably wanting to start their career, and a lot of times they just think it happens overnight. So if you could just include duration,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
because
I
hard work
mean,
definitely pays off.
absolutely, 100%. For me, it was man, the inspiration I had to come up with it. I mean, I already had inspiration becoming a DJ. I just didn't expect my career to go this down this avenue because I was more focused on, even though Latin music DJing was making me money, is making me income consistently. So I was just rolling with that. But I my love is always house music, dance music, deep house, all that stuff, EDM. Like that's kind of like my main inspiration, I guess you could say, as far as being a DJ goes. But the inspiration that went going down this avenue was being able to take those house music songs and remix them into something that I see that there's a market for it. So I was like, okay, it's not exactly what I was trying to get into, but it's kind of similar because I'm taking those house music tracks and converting it into bachata and giving it, something unique that nobody is doing. At the end of the day, in the music industry, originality is what helps you succeed. If you have your own sound, your own vibe, that's what's going to help you catapult into success because you're a unique uh, creature creating something that no one else is doing. Even people that try to copy you are going to try to copy you, but they're not going to have that how do I say that characteristic of specific sounds in the productions
The
that's going to match
uniqueness,
my
yeah.
own. Right. So like I could try to copy another producer all day. I'll never match those guys, like a EDM producer or whatever, because that's they have their own system, their own structure to making songs. But to answer your question, I guess that's what it was, like becoming like a figure or a known figure in a niche market, doing something and making a living out of it. That's what any DJ's dream is, and you get to travel the world and be exposed to different communities and see sites and just it's that's when I saw the result of it, it was just it made me more motivated to continue down that path. It's kind of like when you go to the gym and you work out, you don't see it the first week, second week, third week, but over time you see your body start to develop and you see the results. So it was kind of like that. I think just the success stories, the small wins throughout my career is what kept me motivated and inspired to keep going down that path.
What makes you decide to choose a particular track when you decide that you want to remix a song?
Um, just the vibe, man. If like if I hear a song and it's like it's got a good tempo, it's got a good vibe, I can hear it in my head, like my producer, the producer part of my brain, if I could hear it, that I got ideas coming in, if it's flowing, and I'll be like, okay, let's jump on it. Um, I've also had ideas that I couldn't complete it because it wasn't flowing. You know what I mean? Like for me, I have so many unfinished projects because I was like, man, this ain't working out. I mean, I'm forcing it, rather than it happening naturally. Like the stuff that's released now, like most of it is like naturally. It naturally occurred in the studio. Everything flowed. I was able to make the arrangements and everything worked out well. There's other projects that are just, in the graveyard, I call it, that are just, I haven't I haven't touched it, and I'm not gonna force it. You know what I mean? Like for me, it's like you can't force art. At least that's gonna sound good and motivational for you. You know what I mean? Like it's gotta be it's a project that you're working on, and if it's not flowing, it's just start again, start over, or pick a different song.
Or not right now, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
Because
can always come back
sometimes,
to it later.
exactly, like sometimes it's
Yeah,
just not developed, or sometimes even the audience isn't ready for it yet. I feel like there's certain art or movement or style or taste that could be released, but it's like, yeah, like aliens. They
exactly.
exist. We're just not ready for it. We don't have the
Oh.
mental capacity, to like handle it. So, but I feel like that's the beauty of
Right.
art. Um, so you say you have stuff in the graveyard. So that's just, you said that art that's just went dead, or are there like stuff that you're like maybe a little bit shy
It's
about, like
no, it's
releasing?
no, no. I'm zero shyness here when it comes to that. If anything, I'm safely like admitting like I got projects that just failed on me. I'm like even done guitars and everything that I'm just like, man, I don't like this. I've even showed a couple to people, and they like it. They love it. They're like saying, I don't know if they're like BSing me just to say like, hey, yeah, good job, but like if I'm not feeling it, I don't know. But I've also heard stories from musicians, producers, artists that they didn't really care about the song, and then they just released it on their album for whatever reason, and then it turned out into a banger, like a hot track. So maybe it's just me as a producer just kind of like psyching myself out into not releasing something that could actually work.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because like we are all our own worst critics, and I just
Absolutely.
have a lot of
Yes.
it is for me personally as a dancer, and like choreography pieces that I thought about or have done and I don't want to release, just because for me it's so personal and I don't
Yeah.
want opinions of others to dampen that. And it's just me getting in my own head. But I just feel like in general, art is art and there is no right or wrong, and it just needs to be shared. And you can like it or you cannot, but that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. And art is, in a way, just a freedom of expression. I don't think there should be a limit to art. And I know we're going to be talking about this pretty soon, but that's why I think there's a lot of close-minded people in the dance community that aren't receptive to the bachata remixes and stuff that are coming out, versus, playing the traditional stuff. I think everything should be balanced, and structured in a way as a DJ playing to a crowd, obviously. But if you have a dance floor full of people that are, you know, crowding up and dancing to the remixes, why not cater to that? Like play a little bit more, not the whole night, but like play a little bit more of it.
I'm glad that you brought that up because,
Easy segue, easy segue.
well, not where I'm going. I don't think I'm going where you think I'm going yet.
Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha.
It's probably
You
last.
you made it to the top by sort of helping to usher in the sensual bachata, era, right? Do you think that you have done some sort of a disservice to the Dominican, traditional bachata community by, doing that? You've
I don't think
popularized it.
so.
No?
No, because did Aventura do a disservice for combining R&B and English lyrics?
Fair.
It's
That's a
kind of the
whole
same thing.
different
The thing is my sound is a little bit, it's a little more futuristic. You know what I mean? Like I incorporate like deep house, electronic stuff to it. So it's a little bit more, maybe people won't be on the mainstream market. I don't think people be as receptive to it, but who knows over time.
Have you ever
But
considered doing a remix to a traditional type song? Because I mean, I'm not saying like traditional in terms of something that was made 20 years ago, but there are
yeah,
artists that are releasing music that is more traditional based. Have you ever thought about maybe, working on a project like that?
like a traditional bachata project.
Yeah,
Um, Not really. Because I think there's already artists that are doing that already. Like like I said previously, like I try to stick to things that no one's doing. You know what I mean? I try to stick to my unique sound and just go with that. And I go with what's worked for me. Like, yeah, I could do a traditional track, but there's less work involved from me as a producer to produce that track because a lot of it is more live instruments, live guitars, live, there's actual, real live instruments being recorded versus what I do is I sample, resample, do stuff on the keyboard, add synthesizers, like music production type stuff for like, like what house music producers would do is what I'm doing to on top of bachata.
How many
But it
instruments do you do, or do you know, or
me
master? Yeah,
piano, that's it.
piano.
Yeah. But with when you're working in a production studio, you can load any sound into the keyboard. So you can manipulate, like a saxophone, you can manipulate whatever. You load any sound
Strings. Yeah.
into, yeah, strings. One of my favorites when I'm starting a project. Pads and stuff like that. All of that just adds to the arrangement of the bachata production. But yeah, man, I'm not against traditional. It's just like me as a producer, I'm not I guess you could say motivated to produce something where I'm not really adding too much of my flair to it,
Got it.
because the traditional bachata is just more live instruments the whole way.
That's not where his
Usually.
heart is.
Hey, that's fair. That's
It's
fair.
okay.
But
It
I
takes
gotta
a taste,
ask.
acquired taste, just like
Yeah.
tequila. Well, I'm like feeling.
I gotta ask you: are there any other artists that you appreciate? Sort of what they do. I know you said you talked about kind of what you do, but is there somebody else out there that's doing something that you're like, that ain't what I do, but I really like what they do?
Yeah, I think one of the most underrated artists in my personal opinion that he should be up top like right now. I don't know if he's just not doing enough or what, but like I have a huge respect for Melvin Moore. He's a New Jersey
Yeah,
guy.
Melvin's dope.
You guys might have heard his stuff. Like he
Absolutely.
did the guitars for Kiss Me. He's got a bunch of tracks out there. He's kind of like for me, he's got that Drake sound, that Drake vibe in his tracks, and it's just for me, he's like one of the most underrated. I have a high respect for him because he's not trying to copy anybody. He's just doing his own thing and sticking to his style.
Yeah,
But
Grammy
I
nominated artist.
yeah, I think he deserves a lot, man, because that guy puts in work.
Yeah, I love Melvin. I know Melvin. A
I
little
did
bit.
not know who he was.
Yeah,
I
he's
literally
dope.
looked him up right now. I'm sorry.
You get into
Okay,
his
yeah.
stuff quite a bit.
But like 7,000, I was like, okay. But Grammy nominated artist, producer, songwriter, and musician. Okay.
Yeah. And very funny guy. Like me and him, we click. Like especially, like don't put us in a studio together because we'll just have fun the whole time.
That's a good
Like
thing.
Yeah.
just cracking stupid. We won't get anything done. We'll just crack
Oh.
stupid jokes the whole time. Like we even go off tangent and just
you got to be
just me and him, we
disciplined.
vibe.
You got to have
You gotta,
that
yeah.
discipline and chemistry. That's the
Yeah.
key right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Where do you see the bachata, sound and just sort of the genre going from here?
Oh man. Um, I'd like to think it's going the direction where I've been producing it, like, a lot more electronic elements. But I just think at least right now is just people aren't receptive to it. You know what I mean? Like they feel like it takes away from bachata versus letting it grow and evolve into something, different. But that's just, my opinion. I don't see. I mean, obviously, bachata is a very big and popular genre worldwide, um, and I think the dance community is adding and helping it grow as well. But if you look at the charts, the Billboard and all that, the only people that we've seen on there are, Romeo Santos, Prince Royce, Toby Love was up there a few times, and we're talking like mainstream charts. Manuel Chorizo with the bachata song. There's just not. I don't know if people aren't receptive to it on the mainstream market, like on the radio listeners and whatnot. But yeah, what's definitely motivating artists and even myself was discovering the dance community because there's festivals and a lot supporting this music genre. But where I see it, man, it's difficult to tell. I really don't know. I could give you an honest
I
answer
do
and say I
agree.
don't know.
I feel like fusion like bachata is not digested well. Like it's definitely new and something that's evolving, and we've talked about this before in a less episode. It's going to be ever growing. There's going to be different branches that grow, and of
Right.
course we can't forget our roots and where it all come from, and we have to be good and educate ourselves and others about it. But I just because me personally with my background, I appreciate the fusion, but it is hard to do and is something that's going to be constantly growing and evolving. So,
Yeah, it's kind of because I've seen criticisms online on the way people dance, like sensual and doing all these acrobatic moves. Um, and I see the criticisms and whatnot, and it's kind of the same criticisms that they receive. I'm getting it too from a musical perspective. I get that's not real bachata. That's what is that? Da 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 da. Like, so it goes hand in hand. I think my music and the sensual bachata dance.
As diverse as the dance community is, the musical genre is, I should say, the dance community is just as diverse. And so now we're going to get into some of the more difficult topics that we have planned for today. So, what I didn't cover in the reason why I haven't seen Soltrix in the last 4 or 5 years or so is because a lot has transpired since then. The climate has changed, not just in the bachata community, but just in the world in general. There's been a lot of things that have gone on. We're in war and just there's a lot of worldly things happening. And unfortunately for you, you have tended to be a little bit more vocal about some of these different issues and things that have, sort of been plaguing the world, right? Whether
Mhm.
it's about Israel or the LGBTQ community or the Black community, all these different things. I've admired the fact that you've been willing to speak on them because you know what? Most people are not willing to voice their opinions. A lot of people that host events and that are sort of at the top of the dance community, they'd rather shy away from saying anything because it could affect their
business.
monetary business, right? Making money and getting booked and all sorts of different things. I understand that, but I also understand the need and desire to want to express yourself. So that said, with the sort of colorful dance scene that we do have and all the different people that are involved in it, what can you say, if anything, what do you have to say about some of the things that you may have made remarks about in the past that have maybe rubbed certain communities wrong in different ways?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did release a video about this. Basically, I admitted that the way that I said some of the things I said in the past were wrong. They were very aggressive, very you know, I was basically in defensive mode because I mean, you say you were exposed to it, but like I'm not used to like people attacking me left and right, reposting, doing all this stuff, doing investigative work on me, and going back to 2010 and reposting stuff that was like back in the past that I even forgot about, and trying to make it look like I said that in the present. But all of that kind of like weighed heavy on me, and I just and my personality, at least back then, was I was very defensive. You know what I mean? So whether someone agreed or disagreed with me, like I like I just I guess you could say I lost my cool, and I said some things that you know that kind of pissed me off because you know what people were commenting and telling me was oh they're gonna talk to me like that, I'm gonna talk back to them like that. So it was kind of like a do me wrong, I'm gonna do you wrong, which is obviously two wrongs don't make a right now that I look back on it.
Why would you
But
say that sort of engaged in the first place? Some people would say like, why
yeah, I
even
could go
speak?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, I was never a political person. I think that the COVID lockdown situation kind of had us all glued to the news and paying attention every day, and I just kind of got sucked into it, and I even after COVID started to like kind of fade away, after a few couple years or 2 years actually, because what happened transpired in 2022. Um, I uh, I started to see these articles about the cultural issues, and in particular, like the LGBTQ issues that were starting to come up, how they were allowing drag queens into classrooms and being exposing children to sexuality, stuff like this, and even pride parades and stuff like that. So that for me, I was like, what the hell's going on with the world? So I started to lose my cool when all this stuff, I felt like it was started to being forced on the public, like the pronoun changing and all this stuff, like you have to announce your pronouns. Like honestly, like even till this day, I think that's stupid. I mean, I can clearly see, you're a man, she's a woman. I I don't have to address you as anything else but that, because he is a man, she is a woman. You know, anything else, it's not reality, unfortunately. I mean, it's probably your reality, that's what you think, but you know, I just don't agree with it. I'm very old school, traditional. I don't know what's trying to come across now in this in our culture today, but like I don't think it was right, so I voiced my opinion on it. And that's basically how it all started. I basically posted, it used to be he and she, what's all this other stuff that's coming about now? And then it just got into arguments and comments back and forth. That's the post that went viral. And
Right.
I think it was, sorry.
Yeah, no,
No,
go
and
ahead.
that
Oh,
post specifically was when, like that
July,
you
yeah,
posted
July
it.
2022. Yeah, and I'll admit, I was still like, I wasn't in the best mental headspace at that time, because I just lost my father 2 years before that, and I was still, it was still, it was aggravating me a little bit, so I lost my cool in a lot of the arguments. And I think it was also a pride thing too, because I fed so much of my time and effort into this community that they're willing to just push you to the side because you don't agree with their views or whatever, and get canceled and all this stuff. So it
Going into
after
it, I
that,
mean, you knew that you were probably,
yeah,
poking the beehive a
absolutely.
little bit, right? So
Right, but
why?
I didn't care.
Yeah,
I didn't care. Yeah, I really didn't, like, because all these people are voicing their opinions online about stuff every day, things I don't agree with, and then the second I decide to do it, okay, you guys want to come at me now. So I was like, all right, let's go.
So
So
you were talking in an expression of anger because you were going through things and stuff,
right.
and you were speaking out of anger. So the words that you were saying, were you understanding the harm that you have may put to others, or the implications that you were saying were actually affecting others, or you were just kind of very blinded by the anger with the
I
things that
think
you were going
yeah,
through?
I think it was a little combination of both. I was angry. Um, but again, I think that was like more of a pride thing, which is something that I've learned to let go, because a lot of people, pride is like the main thing that that's I guess you could say, honored and worshipped, pride. And I think that's what it was. It was just pride versus pride. And it's something that I look back on today and I'm like, man, why was I even getting involved in this stuff? Like I should have just respectfully, like, just exited and not debated any of these people, because I mean, unfortunately, they go after you once you're in their target.
right.
If you say something that they disagree with, they start researching you, they start looking you up, they try to find any dirt they possibly can, and then they try to frame you and make you look like this monster, and it's ridiculous. So
So now that time has
um
kind of gone on, are you
yeah.
in search or interested in forgiveness from some of these communities, or
Have you apologized
right?
to people who
Yeah, yeah.
you affected or indirectly infected?
I've apologized for the way I've said it. I still hold my beliefs, and that's not going to change. Just like I'm not trying to force anyone to change their own beliefs. If they believe what they want to believe, that's fine. But I have my beliefs too, and I have the freedom to express those beliefs just like they can.
What have you done, if anything, to sort of start to repair some of the damage with some of the different communities that you may have offended?
I think all I've done, I made that video. First of all, that was for them because I wanted people to understand why that LA gig was canceled, and all this the screenshots that they were reposting and this and that. Like, I understand it looks bad in up front, but like you don't know. Like those some of those screenshots were from 2010, 2008. Like people dig that far back to find dirt on me from stuff that happened 12, 10 years ago. This happens in cancel culture with celebrities. They'll go back to like videos from 1995 or whatever. Look what this guy did. Ha ha ha. Let's cancel him. Like but what I'm doing now is I'm just focused on myself. I'm going to continue to do what I love to do, which is music. Whether I get booked or not, that's up to you or up to them, sorry, the people that decided to cancel me. That's I can't control that. And that's one thing I've learned. I cannot put my focus and my attention into something that I cannot control.
I
If people don't want to
actually,
book,
I actually disagree a little bit with that, and where I'm going with that is,
okay.
do you think that you've done enough to sort of make inroads with some of these communities by, whether it's having a discussion, like, have you really sat down and really tried to have a one-on-one dialogue or even a group dialogue with anybody that um, has an opposing thought of you?
Well, we tried to do that and look what happened.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So the thing is like this is it right here. Like, and I want you guys to understand this. It's you either agree with me or you're blocked or you're canceled. Blocked, canceled.
That's how it is
That's how it is. There's
nowadays.
there's no open discussion. Like you and I we're having an open discussion right now, and whether you agree or whatever with my opinions, like we're still able to have dialogue. We're still able to talk. You know
Right.
what I mean? And we're cool about this. Like I just there's like I said, I'm not focused on things that I cannot control. If they want to cancel, they want to do this, they want to do that, and shut me down. Okay, go for it. I'm still gonna focus on me. I'm not gonna let the world or anyone else or let their opinions define who I am. And that's part of the thing that I've learned about myself is who gives a I can curse here.
Yes, absolutely.
Who gives a who get who gives a shit? Who gives a shit about what people think about you? Like just focus on you, and that's it. Because at the end of the day, none of these people pay my bills. None of these people are involved in my life. No one. Well, there were a couple people. Not one person wrote to me and said, "Hey, Soltrix, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I noticed all these posts. Like, what's going on? Are you all right?" No, they go straight to attacking. And I
um,
was going through issues at the time, so that's why a lot of what I said was, aggressive, and I had a prideful heart, like I said, and I just lost my cool.
have your views evolved since the post?
Um, I still hold my views. I don't try to be right about it towards other people that disagree with me. Like I'm willing to share my views of what I think, and I think we all have personal opinions on different topics, and I think my personal opinions have still stood to this day. I just don't um how do I say it? I just don't agree with the way I said the things I did. You know what I mean? Because as I've been branching closer to Christianity, I've noted, one of the things that I failed in is to say things, gently with a kind heart, and that's just something that unfortunately um, I didn't understand back then, and now I do. So, that's really the only thing I can apologize for if I'm true to myself. The only thing I can apologize for is the way I delivered those messages, those posts, and everything I've said. just the way, like the aggressive way that I voiced my opinions.
How has some of
But
this affected you, I guess, professionally? Because, I mean, just from the LA scene, I can talk about the LA scene, right?
yeah,
Soltrix
yeah,
used to be at
The
Stevens once a month.
yeah.
Like a lot of people don't realize how often you were actually here. You were here a lot. And to go
yeah.
from you being here once a month to me haven't seen you in person in 4 years, that's obviously quite a change. So how has it affected you overall? That's one example, but give me some other examples of how you have been affected, and if perhaps maybe you have some regrets about how everything went down because of how it has affected you.
No, I mean, even though I am apologetic, I choose not to regret anything. I think everything in life has a purpose. Maybe this needed to happen for me to go down a certain path that's going to lead to self-improvement or maybe another career opportunity. I choose not to, like, victimize myself or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like I choose to move forward and find a new path and go that way. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the type of guy that just gives up or stands down or none of that. I don't feel sorry for myself. But yeah, I have, done things that are regrettable, but at the same time, I know that if I had not done those things, I would not be going down this path that I'm in today. So I think it's kind
And
of
you
like
said that was like pushing you toward more Christianity. That's kind of what sparked it, or were you already kind of in
that's
that belief
I was in the
prior?
belief. Yeah, I was in the belief, and I still am today. And by all means, I'm not like a perfect Christian or anything like that, but um, I am growing in it. You know what I mean? Like I am trying to put my focus on God. And I think everything in life begins with spirituality. You know what I mean? Because once your spirit is in check, everything else just flows. Like mentally, physically, you make the right choices, and your demeanor changes as well. So,
I feel you on
um,
that because I'm having a similar experience myself right now. So I'm with
yeah,
you on that one.
yeah. Like, that's why it was surprising to me. Just to go a little off topic, that people are, saying this new year I'm gonna lose weight, this and that, get myself in check. I'm gonna drop all these pounds. I'm gonna get financially right, all this stuff. But like in reality, it's your spirit, that your core, like that's what needs to be in check. Because once that's in check, everything else becomes easier to fix. So that's why I anything that destroys my spirit, I choose to eliminate it. So like all these negative comments that have happened throughout the years, that it's actually helped me grow and develop an emotional, mental resistance type of thing where I just don't care what people say anymore or what they think of me. Like I just, yeah, I said what I said in the past. I'm sorry for the way I said it, but I'm not going to apologize for my beliefs or what I think. You know
There
what I
were
mean? Like
some
that's
there were some general, obviously, like comments and stuff that were made online from, I mean, all sorts of people. But there were
yeah.
certain people that were louder than others. Have you had
hmm
any dialogue with any of those people that were specifically coming after you and made more waves than, the average, you know, um, mid-level dancer that doesn't have necessarily quite as big of a following?
So one of the things that I said when I was going to DJ at, the last LA gig was I told them to invite anyone they wanted to the podcast and we could have a discussion. Whoever wants to talk, it could be anyone. And the result of that was, okay, it's canceled because of all the pushback and all this stuff that's happened. So we can't even have dialogue. Am I willing to talk with people that have, had a louder voice and said things about me and, try to defame me and all this stuff and, make me look like a monster? Sure, I'm willing to talk to them. Do I care what they think of me? No, but like we can have a discussion and go from there. But I just choose to put my effort and my attention into the things that matter and that I have control over. I don't have control over what people think of me anymore. I don't.
Are you aware or have taken the necessary, or not necessary, are you aware of, have you taken the steps to educate yourself or look into transgender issues or the LGBTQ community at all? Or that's just kind of your belief and you just left it at that?
So can I counter question that?
You can.
Okay, yeah. All right. So what is it that I need to be educated on as far as that community goes?
I would just say, like, I guess from their point of view, because they always say there's the right, the wrong, like their story, your story, and then the truth. So I guess it's just more just getting your perception on their side and how their beliefs or how they live or their story.
Right. I mean, I hope I don't want to say this the wrong way. I just I
Say
feel
it
like,
your way.
Yeah, say it your way. There's no
okay.
right or wrong answer, and we
All
want to make sure that the questions are being asked of what I know other people are thinking or saying. So there's
Yeah.
definitely no
Okay.
wrong answer in this.
Right. I I think that these people suffer from gender dysphoria. I think they have mental issues. I think that, I feel sorry for them. I wish it wasn't like that. I don't know I can't imagine what it would be like to live in a different person's body or a different gender or whatever. But, I think they have mental issues. And that's, me being quite honest. And I'm not trying to say that in a degrading way. I just think, we all have our battles and face our own issues in life, but like this one is just something that I think these people need help versus affirmation. You know what I mean? It's like you know, it's like if I'm fat and I go to the doctor, they're not gonna tell me you gotta improve your diet by eating more cheeseburgers. They're affirming the overweightness. And it's a health issue. You know what I mean? Like I think the same thing applies to gender dysphoria, transgenderism. I just think these people need help. I mean, and part of me, like now, I feel sorry for them. I don't know what it means to feel that way. I just think they deserve a better life, a life to accept themselves for who they were made to be, who God made them to be. And to deny that, you're just living a life that's going to lead into these suicide rates and these depression and all this stuff. Like you're out of balance. That's what I think. I don't know about the question that you're saying that I need to or be open to being educated about it. I mean, yeah, I know about the suicides and the issues that they face and the pushback. But at the end of the day, like I just think many of these people are mentally ill.
Would you be willing? This was not planned, right? This discussion and the way that it's turned out was not planned. This is like completely organic, right?
Yeah.
I am not the person to really be the spokesperson for that community because I'm not a part of that
Right.
community.
Neither am
And
I.
neither is
No.
So
Yeah.
would you in the future be willing to, if I brought another guest in, have another type of discussion where we can get a little
Oh,
bit deeper into this?
I've been so open to this discussion since LA, the last LA gig, because I think they were going to invite a transgender person, and I was willing to do it. I was willing to open up and have an honest discussion, even if it did lead to a disagreement. But it just
We're going to set that
when you
up. We're going to definitely set
okay,
that up because I don't feel that I can do a service to where we're going right now at this point. You want to talk about the Black community? I got you, right? But
You want to talk about the mixed chicks? I got
right,
you.
but this is like I don't have the
No, and I just feel like people either way, even because I asked people, I was doing my research, I was doing my homework, and I still feel like people would bash me and be like, "Well, she's not part of the community,"
right.
because I am
right,
not a real representation, and I totally admit that. So just to do of service of the other people out there, we will get a proper representation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we covered a lot today. We talked about a lot. I think we asked you some very valid questions, but it's now gotten to a place beyond where I think that we have the capacity, right? So
we asked the questions, but I think people want the
from the proper perspective,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But that said, we only have an hour. That's the unfortunate part about all of these episodes that we do. More or less, right? So we're gonna table this for now. But
okay.
First of all, I want to say I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your honesty, your candidness. I appreciate you giving us your history as well. Because, part of why I wanted to do this as well is sometimes we get so, certain people get so big in the bachata community or, any community for that matter, that people stop looking at them as human beings. And they just, these people become caricatures of themselves, right? And I feel a little bit, though, as if that has kind of happened for you. And so I just wanted you to have an opportunity to bring yourself back to allow yourself to be a human again and allow people to just hear an actual discussion, not where you're just going on your own, video and just kind of almost, I don't want to say reading a statement, but sort of, just reading or just sort of giving your own personal perspective completely unchecked and unlooked at from another perspective. So, I just wanted to give you that opportunity. I, appreciate you for coming on, but we are definitely going to just call this part one of what will definitely have a second part because it's now just gotten too interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So,
I'm down, man.
Good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I
appreciate
appreciate
it. I appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you. And whenever you guys want to set up part two, just let me know.
We're going to do it. All right. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us this week on the 5678 podcast. Again, as you can see, this one is, going to be continued, I guess, is the best way to put it. So anything to say before we cut out?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming in with an open mind. And we hope to see you in part two.
And by the way, for part two, since we all know that that's going to happen now, please reach out. And it doesn't have to just be from the LGBTQ community, because I know that there are other things that we didn't really touch upon and that we didn't really discuss. But I know that there are other things that people would love to talk about. So hit us up. Let us know. If you're interested in participating, please reach out. We will figure that out. And
if you're interested in sponsoring or being featured or helping us grow in any way we can or improvements, we would love to have that from you as well.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. We will see you with another episode very soon.